Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel, The Glammed Rebel. I hope everyone's having a good day. Please like, comment, and subscribe for daily updates. The bold and the beautiful spoilers. Bill Spencer declares war on Grace Buckingham for faking Liam's cancer. Soap operas thrive on betrayal, secrets, and high-stakes drama. And the bold and the beautiful is proving once again that no one does betrayal quite like the Buckingham family. In a shocking twist, Grace Buckingham Cassandra Creech has been exposed for faking Liam Spencer's Scott Clifton cancer diagnosis and manipulating both his health and his family's future. The truth has ripples throughout Los Angeles, and it's left Bill Spencer, Don Diamant, with only one mission: to make Grace pay no matter the cost. This isn't just a simple scheme gone wrong, it's personal. Grace not only embezzled money from Bill, but also deprived him of months of his son's life, plunged Liam's family into despair, and threatened to escalate a strained father-son relationship. And now, with the truth finally out, the question isn't if Bill will retaliate, but how far he's willing to go. Let's dive deep into this explosive storyline, examining how Grace pulled off her deception, the devastation it caused Liam and his family, and why Bill's fury may just be the most dangerous storm Grace has ever faced. Grace Buckingham's biggest con yet. Grace Buckingham's reputation for meddling, manipulating, and scheming has always been well established, but her latest stunt elevates her to unprecedented levels. Despite Grace Buckingham's reputation for meddling, manipulation, and scheming, few could have predicted that she would descend to such extremes as to fabricate a cancer diagnosis, particularly one involving Bill Spencer's son. The scam began when Liam collapsed after hitting his head during a heated argument with his father, Bill. Instead of receiving honest medical care, Grace orchestrated a nightmare by convincing Liam he was suffering from a brain bleed that revealed an inoperable tumor. She manipulated test results, prescribed medications that mimicked the symptoms of cancer, and preyed on Liam's vulnerability at a time when he was already estranged from his father. And it worked. Liam believed he was dying. He allowed Grace to take control of his treatment, blindly trusting her word. Meanwhile, Grace pocketed a cool $1 million from Bill under the guise of helping Liam receive the care he needed. But the truth was darker. The medication Grace gave Liam made him sick enough to believe he was terminal, confining him to bed and robbing him of his quality of life. This wasn't just fraud, it was psychological warfare. Liam Spencer, a man living with a fake death sentence. For months, Liam lived like a man whose days were numbered. He grew weaker, more tired, and more resigned. He began to withdraw, not because he didn't love his family, but because he couldn't bear the thought of leaving them. The cruelest part of Grace's scheme was the way it forced Liam into emotional turmoil with his children. He agonized over how to tell his daughters that their father was dying. Steffi Forrester, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, and Hope Logan, Annika Noel, braced themselves to break the news to the girls, believing Liam had only a short time left. Imagine the toll this deception took. The whispered goodbyes, the attempts to create lasting memories, and the unbearable silence of preparing for a loss that wasn't even real. Liam's daughters saw him wasting away without any explanation, and Liam himself felt powerless to protect them from the truth, or what he thought was the truth. And then, before Liam could find the courage to explain his diagnosis to his children, tragedy nearly struck again. He was shot by Luna Nozoa, Lisa Yamada, layering one trauma on top of another. Through it all, Grace remained firmly in control, playing the role of both a doctor and savior, while secretly tightening her grip on her victims. Bill Spencer, a father blindsided and betrayed. Bill Spencer has never been the world's most sensitive father, and his relationship with Liam has often been rocky. Harsh words, stubborn pride, and estrangement have left scars on their bond. But one thing has always been clear: Bill does love his son. That's what makes Grace's betrayal so unforgivable. Bill already carried guilt for the heated argument that led to Liam's collapse. The last words he'd spoken before his son hit the ground haunted him. When Grace convinced him Liam had a brain tumor, Bill opened his wallet without hesitation, giving her $1 million to ensure his son got treatment. It wasn't just money, it was Bill's attempt to make up for past mistakes and prove he could be there for Liam when it counted. Now, learning that Grace fabricated the entire illness, Bill isn't just furious, he's gutted. She manipulated his love for his son, stole from him, and played with Liam's life as if it were a pawn in some cruel game. Grace's motives, desperation or pure malice. What could possibly drive Grace Buckingham to such extremes? Grace has long been painted as a mother driven by desperation. She's fiercely protective of her daughters, Paris and Zoe, and often crosses boundaries in the name of securing their futures. But this con feels bigger than maternal overreach. Yes, she may claim she needed money. Yes, she might insist she was protecting her daughters from some unseen threat. But no amount of rationalizing can excuse what she did to Liam or to Bill. Grace didn't just bend the rules. She shredded every ethical line in medicine and morality. And now, she'll have to face not only the courts, but also the wrath of Bill Spencer. Bill's vow, Grace will pay. Dollar Bill Spencer is a man in Los Angeles that should be avoided. His ruthless business tactics are legendary, but when it comes to family, he's even more dangerous. Grace Buckingham made the mistake of targeting his son, and now Bill is out for blood. The spoilers are clear. Bill vows to make Grace pay. But what form will his vengeance take? On the one hand, Bill could pursue legal action. If the courts take control, Grace could face years in prison for crimes such as fraud, medical malpractice, reckless endangerment, and theft. And Bill has the money and influence to ensure she sees the inside of a cell. On the other hand, this is Bill Spencer we're talking about. This is the same individual who has orchestrated kidnappings, controlled the stock market, and even exploited the law to his advantage. The courts might not satisfy Bill's thirst for justice. In fact, prison could feel too light of a punishment compared to what Bill has in mind. Prison would be a picnic compared to answering to Bill. One spoiler teases, and honestly it's hard to argue. Grace's worst nightmare, Bill's brand of justice. Grace is unaware of the magnitude of the chaos she's unleashed. Bill isn't just angry, he's a man betrayed at the deepest level, and his anger could easily cross into obsession. If Bill decides to take matters into his hands, Grace could be facing a terrifying fate. Bill has resources, connections, and a ruthlessness that makes him far more dangerous than any court system. He doesn't just punish his enemies, he destroys them. And given that Grace stole his money, tortured his son, and robbed his family of peace, Bill might very well decide that her life in Los Angeles is over. Whether that means exile, financial ruin, or something even darker remains to be seen. Fallout for Liam, Steffi, and Hope. While Bill plots his revenge, Liam's family must deal with the emotional wreckage Grace left behind. Steffi and Hope, both of whom had to prepare their children for the possibility of losing their father, are furious. Not only were their daughters traumatized by Liam's illness, but they themselves were also forced to face the agony of saying goodbye to a man they both still love. Grace robbed them of peace, time, and trust. Liam, meanwhile, has to rebuild his life after months of believing he was dying. How do you come back from that? How do you trust again when even your doctor wasn't real? Liam's mental and emotional recovery may be just as challenging as his physical one. Will Bill let the courts handle Grace or deliver his own revenge? This is the pivotal question. Will Bill let justice take its course, or will he take matters into his hands? The easy option is to turn Grace over to the authorities. Fraud, malpractice, and theft charges could easily lock her away. But easy has never been Bill Spencer's style. The more likely scenario is that Bill will exact his brand of justice, whether that's ruining Grace financially, blacklisting her from work, or confronting her in a way that puts her life in danger. And let's face it, Grace should be terrified. Final takeaway. Grace Buckingham has stepped over a boundary that she cannot undo. By faking Liam's cancer, she didn't just scam Bill out of money. She stole hope, peace, and time from an entire family. Now, with the truth exposed, She's about to face a reckoning unlike anything she's ever known. Bill Spencer is not a man to forgive and forget, and with his son's life toyed with, his money stolen, and his family humiliated, he's out for one thing only: revenge. The only question left is whether Grace will face justice in a courtroom or at the hands of Bill Spencer himself. Either way, one thing is clear: Grace Buckingham is about to pay the ultimate price. You are welcome to share any video requests in the comments. I will make a video about it. Stay connected with the Glammed Rebel for all the latest updates, spoilers, and deep dive recaps. See you in the next video. Please stay safe and healthy. I hope God keeps you safe. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell button for daily updates.